Okay, we should be live. We should be live. And as always, if you guys could let me know if the audio is good on the video, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, been a while since I did a live stream, actually. Just get everything sorted. Sounds good. Awesome. It's good to hear. God bless you. Good to see you here. Oh, it's nice. I needed that. All right, so where was I? So yeah, coming up in a few hours, we've got the Anthony Joshua Jermaine Franklin fight. Now, truth be told, I wasn't really I wasn't even really going to talk about this fight because when I heard Jermaine Franklin was going to be the opponent, the only thing that kind of kept going on in my head was, well, it's a guy who just lost to Dillian White, so on paper it's not really that good a fight. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, look, AJ's coming off two losses. He is obviously at a very low point mentally in his career, so the right opponent for him to come back against would be a guy that's not really much of a threat, but a guy that's at very least durable and is going to go a few rounds. So logistically, the fight makes a lot of sense. And Jermaine Franklin, say what you want about him. Yeah, he's kind of unheralded, unproven, and he's not a guy who is really going to present many problems stylistically. At very least, he's a guy who we know can go the distance. He's a guy who has got a chin. He took Dillian White the full 12 rounds and gave him some problems. So, yeah, for a comeback opponent after coming off two losses, I see it as pretty much the same way as everybody else. We know what the fight is, but I'm not mad about it. It's a like I said, it's a comeback opponent, and it's a guy who is probably going to go a few rounds. Good to see you here, Yemi. God bless you, bro. Yeah, so good, man. So good. Had a good day so far. Good to see you here, Shane. Every time. God bless you. Yeah, what do you guys think of this fight, though? Do you think that Jermaine Franklin has any of the kind of attributes that Andy Ruiz brought to the table? Do you think that AJ is going to underestimate him and his muscles are going to slow him down and he might get stopped? I mean, is there a possibility, or has AJ learned from the situations like the Ruiz fight where he's not going to make that same mistake again, and he's going to come into this fight, he's going to take his time, and he's going to go a few rounds? I suspect that's what's going to happen because AJ, say what you want about him, the guy's not a complete idiot. He knows exactly what this fight is. It's a warm up. It's a confidence builder, and he's going to go in there and he's going to look to get rounds in. So I think it's pretty clear that this is going to be a fairly long fight. I'm not saying it's going to go the distance, but I don't think AJ is going to go in there and tense up and look for a first round knockout. Like, I can't see that being the case. Good to see you here, Lee. Every time, man. God bless you. God bless you, bro. Yeah, R.I.P. Ken Buchanan, man. Was sad to hear that, man. Ken Buchanan. I mean, pretty much everyone knew it was coming because Ken Buchanan, he'd been not doing too well for a long time. He'd been quite ill for the past couple of years, but yeah, it was sad to hear, man. An absolute legend of Scottish boxing, man, and yeah, one of the greatest British fighters ever, in my opinion. First undisputed champion in the two belt era to come out of this country. So yeah, God bless Ken Buchanan, man. Legend. Yeah, good to see you here, Louis. God bless, bro. Franklin is an okay comeback opponent. Franklin is tough and showed good skills against White. A lot of fans and media thought he edged White. At least he's a young guy who's coming to win. Yeah, exactly. That's just how I see it. Like, I don't see him as a guy who poses a threat to AJ, but I see him as a guy who's tough and a guy who's going to give AJ a good workout and a fight that AJ could test his stamina and build his confidence with. That's basically what I see it as. It's the perfect kind of comeback opponent. This is not a big fight. This is not something that's going to interest us really. But the only thing we could find in it is how good is AJ going to look? How good is his stamina going to be? How confident is he going to be? And is there any point in him continuing his career going forward? Because if he can't be confident and if he can't get over the losses to Ruiz and the 2 losses to Usyk, then he should probably just call it a day because he's already made all the money he needs. He's set for life, and he's already practically a big celebrity in the UK. So what's he fighting for? That's what's intriguing me about this fight. That's the only thing about it that I'm kind of getting myself excited with. Is it's going to answer a lot of questions about AJ and about his mentality and about whether or not he has what it takes to become a champion again. That's all we're going to learn from this fight. We're not really gonna learn much else. I don't expect Jermaine Franklin to win the fight or even come close to winning it, but I expect a good workout and a good showcase of what AJ's got left and whether or not he's improved at all. I reckon Joshua will have his own version of a Lennox Lewis redemption and he'll look to methodically beat down Franklin. Yeah, I think so too. I think what he'll do is he'll take his time. Like AJ will work on his basic boxing fundamentals. He'll work on his jab. He'll work on long range boxing and he'll try and set up big combinations from the outside. And I think he's going to take his time. I don't think AJ is going to be feeling much pressure to perform. And I don't think he's going to be in any rush to get Franklin out of there. I think he knows better. Yeah, God bless you too, Kyle. Every time, man. God bless. What's the rationale for AJ putting on the weight? Looks like some extra fat. Well, I suppose that could help to increase his durability. If one of the what's the word I'm looking for? Criticisms that we've all had for AJ is that the guy looks like a bodybuilder and not a boxer. And as a result of that, I mean, you can see from his losses to Ruiz and Usyk, one of the things that gave AJ those losses, like one of the contributing factors anyway, was his lack of durability and stamina. And if you're bulked up like a bodybuilder with a lot of excess muscle, it takes a lot of energy and a lot more oxygen to keep your hands up. And I think if he's got a lot more body fat than he usually has, then he'll probably be able to take a better punch and he'll probably be able to last longer in the ring. He'll have more stamina. So I think AJ is probably that's a good sign to me. He's probably learnt a lot from his losses to Ruiz and Usyk. Because again, boxing it's not a decathlon. It's a very specific sport. You train for being able to fight. So you need energy reserves. And in order to have energy reserves, you got to have excess or a little bit of excess body fat, not too much, but you need enough, to get by. So yeah, that's a good sign for AJ. Where was I here? I think his speed will give AJ problems. It could, certainly early in the fight, it could, but I think if AJ adjusts to the speed, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But it is what it is. Joshua said he's not interested in a White rematch next and would rather face Joyce. Most UK fans would prefer that. AJ should target Wilder as that's a bigger and easier fight. Yeah, I don't think. I think AJ would be absolutely mad to get in the ring with Joe Joyce next because it's one thing fighting a guy like Jermaine Franklin who's going to test your stamina maybe, but I mean after those defeats to Usyk, AJ's just not ready for a guy who's bigger than him, who's stronger than him, who has way better stamina and a way better chin than him. And he would probably get demolished in that fight. I think for AJ to beat somebody like Joe Joyce, he would have to have full confidence. He would have to be coming off some good momentum and some good form. And we would need to see a career best performance at this stage of AJ's career for him to beat someone like Joe Joyce. So yeah, I think that's a very risky fight if he takes it, but I'd love to see it, man. That'd be a very, very interesting fight. Certainly would be. Massive fight tonight. Roy Jones versus Anthony Pettis. Do you know what? I've not even heard about it. I didn't know. What is it? An exhibition? I've not paid attention to it one bit. To be honest, I haven't been keeping up with boxing recently. I've been watching more MMA. That last boxing match I watched was Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul. Yeah, I didn't watch that. I've no interest in these influencers unless I'm involved in it. Then I've no interest. Do you rate Joe Joyce? Yeah, I rate Joe Joyce very highly. I think he's a great fighter. He's a lot better than I initially thought he was. So yeah, I definitely rate Joe Joyce. Very tough man, great stamina, great balance, good boxing fundamentals. He's a great fighter. AJ looked mentally worn out after Usyk fights. This has rejuvenated. Oh, this is he rejuvenated or end of AJ? He needs to look good if he wants a Fury mega fight. I don't even think he needs to look good personally. I think all he needs to do is minimize damage and just get a few rounds in. I think it would if I obviously I'm not a big Anthony Joshua fan personally, right? I don't really like the guy, right? But if I was his manager or if I was his trainer, and I wanted him to succeed, I wanted him to win. I would tell Anthony Joshua, look, work your jab, right? Maintain distance and just relax. Relax in the ring and see what happens. Figure out the angles, establish a long, effective jab, and just pick up points. And if it goes the distance, it goes the distance. But don't go looking for the knockout. Because it's not really about looking good at this stage of AJ's career. For me, it's about learning, and it's about building up his stamina and his muscle memory and being able to go into the next fight with the self-belief and the confidence that look, he can go 12 rounds and he can fight at a hard, fast-paced for that length. So to me, I think that's what's more important. I think that's more important than going out there and blasting the guy out in the first round and saying I want to fight Tyson Fury. There's absolutely no point in just doing that because he's not going to learn anything from it. And then by the time he fights Tyson Fury, should it happen, he gets destroyed. The only way he could beat Fury for me is if he learned how to maintain his stamina, how to pace himself over a hard 12 rounds, and don't go out there looking to force a knockout. That's the only way someone like AJ, with his technical and physical limitations, could beat somebody like Fury. So yeah, I don't think looking good tonight is important. I think what's important tonight is just winning and doing so without taking much damage and getting some rounds in. I think that would be a lot more beneficial for AJ, in my personal opinion. But it is what it is. Yeah, good to see you here, Sam. God bless you. Yeah, exactly. The excess body fat, a little bit of it is good fuel for the body. You can have very good stamina while being a little bit chubby. We've seen it with guys like Tyson Fury and Andy Ruiz, and even other fighters like Joyce. You look at Joyce; he doesn't look like a bodybuilder. He's got plenty of body fat, but the guy can throw punches at a fast pace for 12 rounds. And it's not really that tough an ask for him. So yeah, I don't think that having a bit of excess body fat is necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, I've noticed. Yeah, I've noticed that AJ has a lot of power. Oh, sorry, he lost a lot of power when he's slimmer. He's nowhere near as violent physically. He's faster and has a better gas tank, but not a tank anymore. Yeah. Again, that's the thing. You can compromise power for a bit of speed in boxing by sort of changing your physique, but it really depends on who you're fighting. I think fighting a guy like Fury, AJ would need to be a bit bigger and a bit more. He'd need to have more body fat. He'd need to be stronger and more durable. I don't see anyone beating anyone apart from Fury beating Joyce. Yeah, I mean Usyk could beat Joyce too, but it's not an easy fight. I mean, keeping that guy off of you for flipping for 12 rounds would be hard. Toddler voice for an old man. I bet he likes kids. Who you talking about? Who likes kids? I'd want to see Joshua fight Wallin or someone like that after this fight. Yeah, Wallin would be a good fight, and I think he fought Joshua in the amateurs, didn't he? And plus, he's also a southpaw, and the training fights that he, or sorry, the training camps that he had for Usyk would serve him well if he's fighting a guy like Otto Wallin, you know. Plus, Wallin's a tough guy and he's very durable, you know. I don't know who you're on about. Who's not smart enough to reverse his aging? Yeah, always. Always though, AJ was an easier fight for Usyk than Joyce. Yeah, definitely. Stylistically, AJ is the kind of fighter that Usyk has fought all through his amateur career. You know, a stiff, upright, backwards, um, what am I saying? Back foot boxer. You know, with boxing fundamentals. You know, a guy who is a stand-up boxer that's going to give him room to work. I said this from the beginning. That was always going to be a style that suited Usyk. But you take a guy like Chisora or a guy like Joyce, you know, guys that come forward and rough you up. That's who a more textbook guy like Usyk is going to struggle with, you know, that kind of style. Ramirez or Dogbo? I think Dogbo is a little bit long in the tooth. You know, he's had a lot of tough fights, taken a lot of punishment, but he's still very dangerous. You know, he's a big puncher, he's tough. But I think Ramirez is the much better boxer of the two. You know, much better amateur pedigree, much quicker, much more athletic. And from the moment that fight got signed, I favor Ramirez. I think he should win it on points. Late stoppage is possible, but I think most likely Ramirez on points. But it's a great fight. Very disappointed in Fury. Fury kept moving the goalpost in Usyk negotiations. I think Usyk wanted it more than Fury. Fury versus Usyk, the biggest fight in all of boxing. Look. I don't usually say this very often on here, as you guys probably know, but I'm pretty confident that fight will happen. I'm pretty confident it's already agreed. And I think they're just jerking us about. I think Usyk knows it. I think Fury knows it. I think the fight's going to happen probably in the summer or maybe even in the winter. But I don't think it was ever going to happen in April. I think that they were just hyping it up, you know, and building it up and letting it marinate as they speak, as they say in boxing. You know, I think Usyk is you know, he was kind of pretending like he was disappointed, but I'm sure they've got some sort of agreement where they're going to make way more money for it happening later in the year. And you know, Fury is probably going to take a tune up. Usyk's probably going to take a tune up too, and I think they're just going to build the fight for as long as they can before interest in it peaks. But yeah, at face value, it looks as if Fury ducked the fight, but I don't think that that'll last much longer. You know, I think it's all just hype as far as I'm concerned. What do you think of Benavidez versus Plant and an eventual Canelo versus Benavidez showdown? I think Benavidez is a massive guy for the weight. Doesn't punch anywhere near as hard as he needs to, considering how big he is. And I think Caleb Plant didn't really come to win. He came to survive and spoil and run and just go the distance. And I expect Benavidez to be scared of the counter punching and to go down like a sack of spuds when he gets hit with one of them big, wide, predictable looping hooks from Canelo. So yeah, I probably gonna. You had a guy in Caleb Plant who already got his Canelo dive money, and then Benavidez who's yet to get his but wants his. You know. Shout out to Iron Fist. God bless you, brother. Greetings, Nordic. God bless. Mr. Universe Joshua is back. It's gonna be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He does look like Mr. Universe, doesn't he, man? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if those muscles can carry him the full 12 rounds. Who knows? Joyce tired getting fights with, or tried getting fights with White, Ruiz, and Wilder, but those guys not interested. Zhang is the best stay busy fight he could get. He'll have to wait on Usyk or Fury. Yeah. I mean, look, Zhang's an okay stay busy opponent. I don't rate him that highly, but he's a big man. He's got a great chin and he's got good power, you know? And yeah, that's not a bad fight. It's not a bad fight at all. Um, you know, Zhang's one of them guys where he's very, very beatable, but he's one of them guys where if you underestimate him, he could hit you with one of them big clubbing shots and knock you out. He's got that kind of power. So yeah, that's not it's not an easy fight, but I think it's a fight Joyce should have no problems with if he's on form, you know. Shout out to Freezing Boxing. Good to see you, brother. God bless you. What's up, Nordic? Good to see you live again, bro. Yeah, good to see you here too, man. God bless. Yeah. I think it's been set for a while, and I think they're just hyping it up at this point. You know, Leewood has taken the Lara rematch. Seems too soon. Yeah, but then again, where is he going to go if he doesn't take the Lara rematch? I mean, he was winning the fight on the scorecard, so I guess if he can just maintain his long range boxing and work behind a jab and just avoid that left hook for 12 rounds, especially if he gets home advantage again, he could win it. But again, Lara's so persistent with that left hook, you know, he's very, very dangerous. So it's a risky fight, but I can't begrudge Lee Wood for taking the rematch because where else is he going to go? I mean, what is he going to fight Josh Warrington for no title? I get that's a big fight, but I mean, he's lost his world title and he wants to regain it. You know, a lot of fighters have regained their world titles in history, and it's one of them. It's a good story, isn't it? You know, when you lose a title and you win it back, you know, it sort of helps you sleep at night. You know, he'll no longer be thinking about Mauricio Lara. So yeah, I wouldn't mind a rematch. I think it'd be interesting. I hope you stay active with your lives and videos. You got one of the best channels on the YTB. So, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm flattered, man. God bless you. Yeah, I'm going to be a bit more active for sure. I've actually got a few retrospectives in production. I've got more recording to do and editing and whatnot. It takes a while, but I am going to be more active. I'm also going to be doing, or I'm thinking at least of doing some more predictions and just general topical stuff. So, going to be a little bit of a mix of content as well as some movie reviews. I've recently got back into that. There's a few movie reviews I want to make. So, yeah, I've got quite a lot of stuff coming to the channel in the near future. Who is Benavidez going to beat when he moves up? Does he even beat Anthony Yard? I wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't pick him over Anthony Yard. I mean, it's possible, but does he hit anywhere near as hard as Kovalev or Beterbiev? I don't think so. I don't think Benavidez hits anywhere near as hard as those guys. And if he moves up in weight, he's going to be facing guys who hit way harder. So I wouldn't favour him to beat Anthony Yard at all. It's possible, but I couldn't see it. Or at least I don't think it'd be the most likely outcome. Zhang's pretty old and stiff, but his power is real. Those combinations he was landing on Hrgovic were doing some damage. Joyce Zhang could be heavyweight fight of the year. It could be. That's the thing. Like I was saying before, Zhang is a big puncher and a tough guy, and sometimes in the heavyweight division, that's all you need. So Joyce better be on his game. I think Joyce beats him, probably stops him, but you know he will have to be a bit careful here and there. Might have to survive a bit of an early scare and come back to win. Didn't Benavidez reject an offer to become Beterbiev's WBC Mando? That was 3 years ago when Beterbiev was a monster. He said he's ready to move up now. I don't know. Actually, maybe. But yeah, let's see the fight. Let's see Benavidez versus Beterbiev. I know who I'd be picking in that fight. Beterbiev knocks him out, I think. But I think he'll try and get the Canelo fight first. Probably take a dive. Or maybe he wins it like Beevil did. Who knows? I thought Lay would step aside and let Warrington fight Lara and then fight the winner in September, October time. Yeah. I don't see why he would step aside, though. I think Leewood knows that with the right game plan and the right preparation, he can beat Mauricio Lara. He just needs to avoid that left hook for 12 rounds, which is easier said than done, you know? Way easier said than done because he's persistent and he's quite accurate with it. Shout out to Johnny. God bless you, brother. Anthony Joshua is a racist juice fiend that takes it up the ass. Yeah. Mr. Superior Race. That's what he is, man. He's a disgrace to the superior race of bodybuilders and strongmen, you know? And Mr. Universe contestants. Wokeism ruining cinema and TV currently, since you mentioned movies, yeah. And that's the thing, that's why I would rather review some old movies, because new movies are just completely boring and crap. Just pointless as far as I'm concerned. There's no point watching them. Um, but yeah, a lot of old movies are way better, and there's a few old movies I'd like to watch again and review. Lol, all I was thinking of watching the Plant versus Benavides fight was imagine what a prime Kessler would do to these guys. Yeah, yeah, Kessler knocks them both out. Kessler at his prime would probably knock both of them out. I'm not even kidding. And Calzaghe would beat them both on the same night, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, good to see you too, man. God bless you. Yeah, yeah. The super middleweights from a couple like decades ago were better. You know, the Sven Otka days. They were the golden days of the super middleweight division. It's a shame, innit, looking back at it. I bet if Kessler would like to take on Ward in a neutral site rematch, yeah, could you imagine that? Ward gets disqualified in the first round. I mean, how else does that fight go? I mean, if that had been anywhere else in the world, could you imagine headbutting a guy 5 times, opening 3 cuts on his face, 2 of them above his eyes, and not getting disqualified anywhere else but Oakland, California, when you're the fighter from that region? Yeah, I doubt it. It's ridiculous how Canelo, wanting a pointless rematch against Bivol, is blocking Undisputed at 175, which everyone wants to see. Nobody wants to see a repeat of the first fight with Canelo getting schooled. Yeah, I mean, look, Canelo and Bivol too. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if that doesn't go the way you think. Is all I'm going to say there. Don't be surprised if Bivol all of a sudden forgets how to box and is afraid of the counter punches. Don't be surprised to see it. Even Froch would batter Benavides. Yeah, he would. I think he'd probably beat him on points. I don't think he'd stop him. He'd probably beat him on points. Hot take: Prime Calzaghe beats everyone at 168 today. I don't even think that's a hot take. I think he easily beats everyone at 168, and I don't think it's even competitive. What is Canelo going to beat Calzaghe? Is Caleb Plant going to beat Calzaghe? Who in today's super middleweight division would beat Calzaghe? I don't think anybody would even come close in today's division. To be fair, Calzaghe probably beats every 168 pounder in history. I agree, he probably does. I mean, he's definitely. I mean, he was beatable. Don't get me wrong, but he's definitely got physical and mental attributes that are difficult to deal with. Best stamina I've ever seen at that division. Great power in his prime. Great inside fighter, great outboxer. He was just so well rounded. Great chin. Great ring IQ. He was a great fighter, and I think he definitely could be every 168 pounder in history. It's almost offensive. Where was I? Watching these fakes in the ring nowadays. Miss the good old ITV boxing days. Yeah, do you remember when ITV used to show like they had Big Fight Live? I can remember watching guys like Darren Barker and Tyson Fury coming up on ITV, in the early days. Triple G gonna fight again, or is he calling it quits? No idea. I could care less. Triple G sold out in that third Canelo fight, and as far as I'm concerned, he should probably, he should probably refund every single one of his fans who bought tickets for that fight. As far as I'm concerned. Off topic, have you watched Denis Boystov, the Russian heavyweight contender who was beaten up by a gang? David Price sparred him and said he was a massive puncher who was about to fight Klitschko. Yeah, I've seen him fight. I remember that. I remember Denis Boystov. He was Klitschko, or he was Klitschko's WBO mandatory in 2014, I believe it was, and he lost to Alex Leapai in a big upset. He was one of them Sauerland fighters, and yeah, he was being built up to be Klitschko's next opponent, and yeah, he ended up getting a beating from Alex Leopai, and something happened to him. He was in an accident, which it was rumored to be gang affiliated, and he ended up crippled. And apparently, nobody has heard from him since. I don't even know if he's still alive. Like he's had like no social media presence at all. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, I did watch him fight. I remember watching the Alex Leopai fight and that, and I remember him as a contender. He was an okay fighter, but he was a bit small for the heavyweight division. And, being outboxed by someone like Alex Leopai, he probably would have gotten destroyed if he fought Vladimir Klitschko. But he was a tough guy. And maybe he just kind of underestimated Leopai. And maybe he could have won a rematch. But yeah, he was a decent fringe contender in the heavyweight division a few years back. And yeah, it's a shame because he could have had a great career. But yeah, 2014 that happened, I believe. And yeah, he's not fought since. Some myth robberies. There are a lot of myth robberies. All of Sven Otke's fights. Helenius Chisora, Pacquiao Marquez 3. There's quite a few of them, man. Taylor versus Catterall. A lot of them. Trying to think of some more actually, because there's actually quite a few. James Toney versus Samuel Peter. People say that was a robbery. It wasn't. I thought Samuel Peter clearly won. I thought it was a perfectly fair decision. By the way, making a Samuel Peter video at some point. Stay tuned for that. The only fighter I can think of who is even close to Andre Ward level dirty is Orlando Salido. Yeah. In fact, you know what? He might even be worse, except he does it more blatantly than Ward does. Ward just, he's a little bit better at hiding it. They need the referees on their side. Loma versus Haney. Who you picking to win? Well, if it's a real fight, Loma wins, but it's not a real fight, is it? I think Loma is a knackered old man. I think he's going to be injured, and I think there's going to be some excuse why he doesn't throw any punches for 12 rounds and loses a wide unanimous decision. So yeah, Haney probably wins unanimous decision. But if it's a real fight, Loma by late TKO or unanimous decision. The only fighter I can think of who's even... Oh, sorry, I already read that. My bad. I think Triple G would have had the best chance of beating Calzaghe prime for prime. Yeah, Triple G could have caught Calzaghe and dropped him, and he maybe could have outboxed him. But I think the problem for Triple G in that fight is Calzaghe's work rate would have been way too much, and I think he would have just outpointed him because I can't see Triple G stopping him. I can't see him keeping him down, even if he was able to score a knockdown. In fact, if anybody in that fight gets stopped, it's Triple G. Because Calzaghe would throw so many punches, both to the body and the head. He'd work inside, and he would do similar things to what Willie Monroe Jr. did, where he sort of pivoted in the southpaw stance and landed some hooks and uppercuts inside. And I think he would probably be able to do that for a full 12 rounds. And yeah, Calzaghe would probably win on points, but a stoppage wouldn't surprise me. But I would pick Calzaghe on points in a fairly competitive fight. It was a strange fight, yeah. When Calzaghe got punched, he threw 10 in return every time. On the rare times he got downed, he would come back with an unbreakable storm. Yeah, Calzaghe would get dropped. And that was like the worst thing you can do because he would just kick the shit out of you for dropping him. He would take it personal. It's kind of like, you ever seen the first X-Men film where Wolverine's in a cage ring? He's a cage fighter at the start of the film. And the referee says to the other guys, don't hit him in the balls. And he's like, you said anything goes. And he says, yeah, anything goes, but he'll take it personal. That's what Calzaghe's like, isn't it? Don't knock him down because he'll take it personal. You knock him down and it will just be worse. He'll just destroy you. That was what it was like fighting him. Yeah, God bless you, bro. True, Peter beat Tony, but Tony gave a good account of himself. That's why, predictably, some people said it was a robbery. I watched both of them fights recently because I'm doing some research for a Samuel Peter retrospective video. And the first fight, the commentators on Showtime acted like it was way closer than it was. And yeah, Tony gave him problems. He landed some counter shots, but he didn't do nearly enough to win the fight. Not nearly. And Peter landed jabs, he landed body shots, he landed big right hands. He had Tony in survival mode for most of the fight. And Peter just landed so much more. Like he just completely outworked him. And yeah, he won that fight clearly. And the rematch, because the controversy or the fake controversy surrounding the decision got Tony a rematch, and he got battered in the rematch. Like in the rematch, Samuel Peter completely schooled him, dropped him, dominated every single round, and won very clearly. So yeah, it was to me that was another situation of commentators just creating a false narrative, and it caused a rematch to happen that didn't really need to happen. Myth robbery, Sturm, Macklin, Froch Durrell. No, I thought Froch Durrell was a robbery personally, but yeah, I agree on Sturm versus Macklin, Warrington versus Galahad, Abraham versus Smigger, every occupied. Yeah, I agree with all of them except Froch versus Durrell because Froch did nothing in that fight, nothing except foul, and Durrell landed more punches in I think every single round, and he also landed the better punches. And for the second half of the fight, Durrell was the aggressor. So yeah, Froch Durrell I thought was a robbery, but all the other fights I don't think were robberies. Sturm clearly beat Macklin, and Macklin was never the same again after that fight. Warrington clearly beat Galahad, who just came to spoil the entire fight. Warrington landed more punches from what I remember. I was at that fight, by the way, and yeah, Warrington clearly won it. Abraham dominated Smigger in both fights, and that's another situation of a false narrative by the commentators leading to an unnecessary rematch. And yeah, the rematch was even more one-sided. Abraham won even more clearly. Beevil versus Calzaghe would have been a great tactical match. Yeah, that's a great fight, man. Do you know Beevil might actually have attributes which could give Calzaghe problems? I still favor Calzaghe, but Beevil's one of those guys where if Calzaghe was on an off night, Beevil could beat him. He could outbox him and win on points. Stylistically, he has the ability to do it. If Gage wins, Spencer Oliver, Gareth Davis, Ade, Hatman, Sporting Icons, Bellend, the whole lot will immediately pull their pants down and get on it. Yeah. Yeah. The old Matchroom Sky Sports Brigade. And all the media brown noses. Yeah, they'll love it, certainly. They certainly will. Back on the hype train. They're building up AJ again in top boxing. Yeah, that's what this fight is. It's a comeback fight, and it's a fight to see where he's at. If there's even any point in him continuing his career, that's what the fight's for. I think Loma Haney depends on the ref. I'm betting we'll see a guy like Kenny Bayless reffing, letting Haney hold, duck below the waist, and do all the dirty shit. Which, with a good ref, Loma schools him. Yeah, I agree, and I think it's even worse than that. I think Loma's going to have an injury, and that's going to be his excuse. For why he does nothing and doesn't even come to win. There's a chance Arum will save Lomachenko for Stevenson. Paulie Malignaggi has kind of predicted correctly the Haney saga so far and believes so. I don't know, man. I think Haney is actually more marketable than Shakur. Shakur is just so boring. Like nothing about that guy has anybody. He doesn't get anybody excited at all. He's just a complete idiot. Be back in a minute, guys. Just going to the bathroom. Okay, where was I? Hold on a second. Just taking a drink of water. It just baffles me how people thought Darrell beat Froch. I thought Darrell beat Froch. Just thought he landed way more punches. Got that fight on DVD. I think Bevo has the best footwork in all of boxing. The way he seamlessly moves in and out of range while throwing punches isn't like anything I've seen before. Yeah, yeah, but Bevo's like such great textbook boxing, ain't he? You know, he's got a great jab, great straight right hand, you know, great left hook. He just his punches are so short, they're so crisp. You know, his footwork is immaculate. He does everything really, really well. You know, just such a great all rounder. That's like the best way to describe Beevil, isn't it? I actually really like watching Beevil fight. He's very entertaining. You know, he's one of these like real boxing purists. You know, when you watch him. If Joshua beats Franklin tonight, I think a good fight for him next would be Bacoli. Yeah, yeah, that's a great fight. Bacoli's obviously had his own problems with like stamina, and you know he showed like a lack of heart in fights before, but he's also shown great power, good chin, and you know he's a guy who there's a lot of sparring stories about. You know we've heard a lot about him, you know backing people up and giving them problems in sparring. Yeah, he's a big guy, tough guy. I'd like to see it. I think him and Joshua actually have sparred before, so I think they know each other quite well. Pharaon. Is that who that was? Was that Pharaon? I came back there and I seen the comment and I seen him attack. I seen somebody going at you there, and I just blocked him immediately. I didn't even. I just seen the swear words and that. I didn't even know who it was. Was that Spencer Pharaon, or or do you mean someone else? I don't know. If I made a mistake there, I'll unblock them. If it was somebody cool. But the comment, I just seen the capital letters and the swear words, and I'm like, "Who's this guy?" And I just got rid of him, you know. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, Bacoli, that'd be a very very good opponent for Joshua, you know. All right, yeah, pretty sure it's Spencer's alt account. He hates on Triple B's channel all the time. All right, is it the same guy? I don't know. The name rung a bell. I don't know who it was, but I just seen that he was saying stuff about you, so I just deleted him. You know, I don't need all that crap on my channel. You know. Have you subscribed to the Zone? No, no, I haven't. I haven't at all. Spencer Fearon is a racist scumbag. Do you know? I don't even know that much about Spencer Fearon. I don't really. I haven't really listened to the guy much, but I know that Triple B doesn't like him, and yeah, here's what it is, man. It's nothing to do with me. What was it that Triple B said about? I'm trying to remember. What was it he said about Spencer Fearon ages ago? It was like months and months ago. He said something like he was calling him a grass or whatever. I can't remember what that was even about. But I just seem to remember the video made me laugh. I found it really funny. You know. Do you like Fury? Um, Truth be told, not really. There's not really a whole lot to like about him, is there? But I don't hate the guy. I mean, I'm somewhat nostalgic about Fury. There's certain things about him I do like. Certain things about him I find somewhat inspiring, but I think there's so much pointless bravado. And I just think the guy, to be honest, is a bit of a degenerate. And as far as I'm concerned, the way that he has shown pure contempt for the boxing public, pure contempt for his fans. I just see him as a bit of a sellout, and I think that he had an opportunity to be a lot more profound than he ended up being. And look, I've talked about this at length before, but yeah, I'm disappointed in the guy. I really am. What do you think about Beterbiev versus Callum Smith? I have Beterbiev stopping him in rounds 9 or 10. It's a dangerous fight. I think Beterbiev is obviously the better fighter. I think he's the bigger puncher. He's more skilled, but Beterbiev is pushing 40. And, Beterbiev, he's never had the best chin and he's never been completely unbeatable. And Callum Smith has a couple of things that could cause problems. He's taller, he's got longer arms, he's got a lot of power. He seems to be hitting way harder at light heavyweight. And he's also got a pretty good chin. I mean, as far as I'm aware, Callum Smith has never been dropped, has he? So, or has he? I don't think so. So yeah, he's got a good chin, and he's one of them guys, Callum Smith, where if you are not on form, he could, and you underestimate him, he could upset you. He could expose you, and I think it's an interesting fight in that regard. But assuming we get a fully healthy and fully properly prepared Beterbiev, I think Beterbiev probably stops him late or wins by a wide decision. I think it's a much more difficult fight than Anthony Yard or Marcus Brown and guys like that. So yeah, it'd be an interesting fight to see. I wouldn't mind seeing it at all. But I'd rather see the Bivol fight. But if we don't see the Bivol fight, then I wouldn't mind seeing that. Yeah, I thought Darrell clearly beat Froch. I think I gave Froch maybe 2 rounds in that fight. He just got completely outlanded the whole fight. Darrell even landed the better shots. He hurt Froch, and he backed him up, and he just won the fight clearly, I thought. Yep, God bless you too, man. Good to see you here. God bless. AJ has to spoil us. Well, AJ has spoiled us so much with this with his uncle after his last fight. This one is going to be a major disappointment. Yeah. I wonder if he's going to give a big speech after this one. About where he comes from and whatnot. That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to hear him sort of sum up his performance, and hopefully it's from the heart and it's not something scripted. He sold out from Christianity to degeneracy. Yeah, he certainly did. I mean, he goes around kissing men. He's absolutely obsessed with talking about jacking off and talking about sodomy and all that. He's become a complete degenerate, Tyson Fury. The guy can't go through one conversation without talking about anally penetrating somebody. Like literally, he can't go a single conversation without doing that, without talking about being a sodomite. So yeah, clearly Tyson Fury has been told by some pretty shady individuals in the entertainment industry, if you want to remain here, if you want to keep living, then you got to start pushing certain things. And yeah, that's clearly what he's doing, as many of them do. I've also heard that he's still a cokehead very much, and it could be that the only reason he's winning is because he sold out. Maybe if he didn't sell out, they'd take his license away, or they'd cause him to lose a fight. I don't know. Is what it is, man. Is what it is. By the time Bivol happens, Beterbiev will most likely be washed. Yeah, he's probably already on the verge of being washed, to be honest. I mean, he's had a lot of injuries, a lot of long layoffs, so he doesn't have much long left. Or at least I would imagine so. Callum Smith versus Bivol. Yeah, I think Bivol would completely outbox Callum Smith. I think that's a harder fight for Smith, stylistically, than the Beterbiev fight would be, personally. Because I think trying to outbox Bivol with long-range boxing when he's so quick and so fundamentally sound, I think Beaver would outbox him, and I think he'd win on points. Triple G versus Froch, I think Triple G stops him, beats the absolute crap out of him and stops him. I'd say Triple G from like round 7 to 12. I'd go like a 7th round stoppage. I think Triple G batters him and stops him. Yep. Salute Hawker Mustang. Good to see you here, brother. God bless you. It's been a while, man. How you been? God bless you. Maybe it's my extreme anti-Darrell bias from the Abraham fight, but I thought Darrell Froch was very close, not a robbery. Yeah, the Abraham fight was a robbery. That was a disgrace. Abraham should not have been disqualified in that fight. Darrell in that fight was jumping to the floor. He was hitting Abraham in the balls. He was running for dear life. And the moment Abraham commits one foul, which was by accident, when Darrell was deliberately going down to the canvas to get a break and to avoid the onslaught because he was losing that round, all of a sudden, he gets disqualified. That was a disgrace, that fight. And Abraham should have won that fight. That should have been a knockout victory for Abraham. And, he even scored a knockdown and they didn't count it. It was ridiculous, man. Really was. But the Froch fight, even though Darrell did spoil a bit, he fought a lot better in the Froch fight in terms of he actually took more risks and he actually legitimately won rounds. So I thought that he should have won that fight personally. But I'm not mad that he didn't get the decision because Darrell proved he wasn't worthy of being world champion. He proved that in the Abraham fight. He proved it in the first Uskata fight. Darrell just wasn't worthy of being world champion. He was a guy who had no heart and he was a spoiler, So it is what it is. But I thought he won the fight personally. Okoli versus Lawrence Okoli. I watched that fight on YouTube. His fight against David Light. I thought he should have been disqualified in the second round. Lawrence Okoli should be flipping burgers in McDonald's where he belongs. He doesn't belong in a boxing ring. The Opataya fight, if that has a fair referee, Okoli loses by disqualification or he gets knocked out. In the UK, with a UK referee, he probably wins it on points because they will allow him to just hold and spoil the whole fight and win on points. Guilty, though, would smash Paris Fury. I wouldn't. I don't think anything of her, Do you know what happened to Alba Boxing? He's deleted all his videos and disappeared. No idea. I stopped watching his videos a while back. Nothing against the guy. I don't know. I got bored of his videos. Didn't really think that he really added anything to the conversation. But yeah, seemed like a nice guy. I didn't even know his channel was gone, or I didn't know his videos were gone. Maybe he'll be back. Who knows? But yeah, from what I remember, he was growing quite quickly. He was getting a lot of subscribers and a lot of views. Yep, Vector's here. Prime Triple G would have battered most, but he never got the chance, unfortunately. He is regarded in North America as a fighter who is a hype job. Yeah, it's his own fault. He took a dive against Canelo in the third fight. If he'd have actually come to win that fight, he would have redeemed his legacy. But he took the money and he took a dive. The fight was fixed. I don't care what anybody said. The fight was fixed. Would Triple G stop Froch? He fought some massive punchers and he didn't. I don't think Froch fought any massive punchers other than Kessler, who was past his prime, and Abraham, who had moved up in weight. And he was hurt badly in both of those fights. Triple G hit way harder than both and was way more athletic. Kessler was obviously a lot bigger than Triple G, but he didn't hit as hard. Like Triple G's knockout percentage and his, just his technique was way better. And another thing about Froch, he couldn't fight inside, and neither could Kessler. This is another thing a lot of people don't realize. Froch, on the inside, he'd throw punches, but he wouldn't defend himself. He had no idea how to. And that was why he never fought any like elite level pressure fighter. He completely avoided the likes of Saki Obika, for example. That was a guy who I think would have beaten Froch. He couldn't fight inside, and Triple G was a great inside fighter. I think he would have beaten him up, and I think he would have stopped him. I think it would be a very one-sided fight from start to finish. Let's not forget, Froch was dropped by Jermaine Taylor, who's not that big a puncher, and he was also dropped by Groves. Now, Groves is a big puncher, to be fair, but not as big a puncher as Triple G. Can't wait for the biggest fight in boxing. White versus Chisora 3. Do you know what? That is a pretty good fight. Why not? Where else is either of them going to go? The first two fights were great fights. Let's see a third fight. Why not? I'd watch it. It'd be interesting. Why not? Fury Chisora 4 will be more exciting. Could you imagine Fury Chisora 4? Do you know, nothing would surprise me at this point. I've never seen one impressive Froch fight, always boring and sloppy. Yeah, exactly. Froch to me was similar to Wilder. He was a guy who was just getting by on luck, corruption, and just being a big, strong, like athletic guy. Like, he wasn't that good at all. He was a very, very one-dimensional fighter, and to me, a lot of his fights were just setups, you know. And Triple G was just an elite fighter. You know, he was on another level. Yeah, he was. Groves was a big puncher, and he dropped Froch with like the first clean punch he landed. I hope you. Yeah, Johnny's still here. May we have your thoughts on George Groves? I actually made a video on why I think Groves' career was a disappointment, because I think he could have been. But I might actually make another one. I might make a proper career review, you know, like a full retrospective career review. I might do that at some point. That might be quite fun. I'll definitely be on your live again at some point, Johnny, if I'm on YouTube. Yeah, Johnny still makes lives. Forget Fury Chisora 4. Let's get Fury versus McDermott 3 going. Yeah, because McDermott won the first fight, so let's have a let's have a rubber match, you know, between Fury and McDermott. I'm assuming the main event will be about 11 o'clock or something, or like 11:30, some usual UK time, you know. Chisora needs to retire. He can barely string a sentence together in recent interviews. No, do you know what Chisora should do? Is he should fight Pulev a third time, because that rematch was a disgrace, the decision. So they should fight a third time. Pulev won both fights clearly, and Pulev would probably win a third fight too. Why do you dislike Froch? I thought being from Notts you would like him. Nah, not really. Technically, I'm not from Notts. I just grew up there. I'm originally from Glasgow, but I grew up in Notts. And plus, me thinking that Triple G beats him has nothing to do with like or dislike. You know, it's nothing to do with that. It's just that I think Triple G is a better fighter by far, and I think he stops him. You know, it is what it is. I'm going live in like an hour or something. You've been drinking? Yeah. We'll get a drunk Johnny live then. Look forward to it. Yep, everyone go subscribe to Johnny and go join his live. You will not be disappointed. Johnny always brings the entertainment. With you in a minute, guys. All right, where was I? Yeah, Loma versus Haney. I just, for me, I think Loma's going to come up with an injury, and he's going to throw hardly any punches, and that's going to be his excuse why he loses the fight. I think that's what's going to be, because I think Top Rank have got plans for Devin Haney, And I think it's going to be a similar situation where with the Tiafimo fight where he just does nothing all night. If it's a real fight, however, Loma batters him and wins easily. There's no way Haney could compete with Loma in a real fight unless he had like one arm tied behind his back, you know. Not because of the Triple G fight. I thought you disliked Froch anyway. Yeah, I've never been a fan of Froch. I just don't particularly like the guy, and yeah, it's all water under the bridge. I've got nothing against him now. I just was never a fan of him when he was a fighter. Just thought he was a bit of an asshole and a bit of a smug prick. But you know, who am I to talk? I'm nobody. I gave Chisora 2 rounds in the first Pulev fight and 3 in the second fight. That sounds about right to me. I think I gave him 2 in both fights. I thought he lost 10-2 in both fights, but the first fight was more one-sided than the second fight. Pulev won both very clearly, but yeah, the first fight, he won more. I know you're right about Froch. Yeah, thanks. What be going on here? I don't know, you must have heard something out of context. Loma, yeah, let's go. I'm hoping Loma wins. Be funny if Loma wins. John Starr in the business, in the buildings. Froch wasn't exactly likable. Hatton and Calzaghe were better and more likable, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Hatton and Calzaghe had their flaws too. Like, personality-wise, they had their flaws, but they were a lot more relatable and a lot more likable than Froch. Like, Froch just became he just became a complete smug bastard. He did. Whereas Hatton was a bit of a sniveling prick at times. Like he would whine and complain and shit. And, you know, he was a bit of a narcissist. And Calzaghe sometimes came across a bit spiteful, but they were a lot more easy. They were a lot more approachable than Froch. Like Froch just came across to me as a complete bellend. Like I put him in the same category as Tony Bellew. Like the type of person that you would just never want to associate with because he would just stab you in the back in an instant. And the type of person who would take things personal, if you know what I mean, like just sew up his own arse. That's kind of what Froch was like to me. So, you know, you could tell why a lot of people didn't like him, you know, whereas again, Hatton was a little bit of a little bit of a sniveling bitch, but he was a lot more relatable. You know, he had that sort of working class vibe about him. And you know, Calzaghe, like I said, he had his flaws too, but again, he was approachable and somewhat likable. But yeah, I can see why nobody liked Froch towards the end of his career, and I think you guys can see why I never liked him. You know, where was I? I'm always going to pick Loma when he fights, but I won't be surprised if Haney just jab and holds all night while getting away with 100 low blows. Well, that's been the pattern, hasn't it, with Haney? Jab, grab, duck below the waist, run, elbow, rinse and repeat. You know that's the pattern with his career. Yeah, with a good ref, and if it's a real fight, Haney doesn't touch Loma. Loma dominates him. Watch out, Froch will accuse you of being jealous in a minute. His favorite insult. Yeah, Froch and not only Froch himself, but his fans love to call you jealous. And it's funny because they'll accuse you of being jealous of him, but you're not jealous of other people who are way more successful than him. Like, let's say I'm jealous of him, but for some reason I'm not jealous of Vladimir Klitschko. I don't know what make that make sense to me. You know, you don't like my favorite fighter because you're just jealous. But you know, the guy who beat my favorite fighter, like let's say Kessler or Ward, someone like that, you're not jealous of them, you're just jealous of my favorite fighter because I say so, because I'm in love with this fighter, you know. That's kind of how the narrative goes. Salute, no, yeah, salute to you too, John. Smash that like button. Yeah, pound that like button like Dell pounds the fatties, you know. I don't think Loma's going to throw the fight. Well, I didn't think he would throw the Tiafimo fight, and he did. He clearly did, you know. I never thought Amir Khan was likable or not. He just seemed a bit stupid. No, I hated Amir Khan. I couldn't stand him. Amir Khan came across to me as a complete and utter twat. Like I just never liked him. Couldn't stand him. I just think he was a complete clown, personally. I wish Bellew had kept his word. We'll never see him again. Yeah, same. I wish Bellew would go home to his wife and kids and never come back. That's what I wish. Like, go home to wife and kids, never come back. That's what I wish. Hey, how's it going, Reese? God bless you, brother. Haney better bring pens and pencils. Get ready to take notes because Loma's schooling that dude. If it's a real fight, absolutely. Real fight with a fair referee, absolutely. If Haney does this, we're going to have to deal with the black Americans screaming, "Sweet signs, man!" Yeah, every time Haney throws like a little half limp jab, you'll hear, "There you go, there you go, hey, throw that jab, hey, throw that jab," like from ringside. You'll hear that all night, and you'll hear, "Hit that body. He don't like it to the body." That's what you'll hear in the corner, you know. Loma gonna beat him. No way Haney puts Loma on the back foot with his style. He has no power. Yeah, but stranger things have happened, haven't they? But yeah, if it's a real fight, Loma should win. No doubt about it. Who's your favourite British fighter at the moment? That's a good question. I'm quite a big fan of Josh Warrington. I like that. There's something about Josh Warrington that I find kind of relatable, and I really like his fighting style. I find him very entertaining, and I think he's extremely underrated. I like Lee Wood. I know Lee Wood isn't the most likable, but I like watching him fight. Again, really entertaining fighter. A guy who's one of the most improved fighters in the country, despite losing his last fight. Still really like Lee Wood. I like Josh Taylor a lot, but he's kind of gone off the rails now, and I don't know, man. I'm starting to go off Josh Taylor a little bit, but he's a fighter I have been a fan of for years. So I really like Joe Joyce. There's several British fighters I like. I don't know who's my favorite though. I don't know. Probably Josh Warrington. He's probably my favorite British fighter at the minute. What are your thoughts about tonight? I think AJ on points or late TKO. Yeah, I think I was saying earlier in the stream. I think it's just a fight for AJ to shake off the rust and get some rounds in, and see what he's got left and see whether or not he's in a state of mind where he wants to continue with boxing. Because what's he fighting for? He's already got somewhat of a legacy and he's already made a lot of money. So does he want to go out there and just get one more cash out fight, or does he want to go a few rounds and actually learn something and actually improve as a fighter? There we go, right there. yeah, they throw the little. You see that whenever it's like a black American guy fighting, they throw a jab or like a half jab that misses, and then it's there you go, there you go. And if they actually land a punch, just like, hey, I told you, there you go, there you go. And then in the corner, it's always the same. It's always throw that jab, you put it in the body. He don't like it to the body. So hit that body. He don't like it to the body. Box that motherfucker. It's just ridiculous. Step around, slide around. You see, he going like that. See, he don't like it to the body. Like that. That's just what you hear with these fighters, man. New to your channel, who's your favorite fighter of all time? Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is my favorite fighter of all time by far. Good to see you here, by the way. God bless you. Lomachenko is going to beat the shit out of Haney if Father Time doesn't catch him. The kid almost lost to Jojo Diaz, yeah. Yeah, I hope you're right. I really do. I'm not a fan of Haney. He doesn't appreciate nothing to... I mean, he doesn't contribute nothing to boxing. He's just so boring. Yeah, I'm going with Rabesi Ramirez, but I think Dogbo's a live underdog. I think he's tough, strong, but he's a little bit long in the tooth. He's taken a lot of punches. He's he's to me he's maybe hit his ceiling, Dogbo, whereas Rabesi has still got a long way to go and can still improve. I think Rabesi has the better amateur pedigree and is the more refined boxer of the two, and I think he'll win probably on points. A late stoppage wouldn't surprise me, but I think Rabesi, and even an upset wouldn't surprise me, but I think Rabesi will probably win it on points. I think that's the most likely outcome. Yeah, yeah. Warrington's probably one of my favorites too. Fighters ain't ice cream. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? Surprised people aren't asking that. And Bob's, but yeah, my favorite fighter without a doubt is Manny Pacquiao. And Bob's not letting the belts leave Top Rank. This is Haney's last fight with Top Rank. Plus, there's already a deal in place for Loma Shakur. Yeah, but we don't really know that, do we? That's the narrative that they're giving us. But for all we know, Top Rank could be signing a extension with Haney after the fight, and it could be Haney versus Shakur that they want. Slick black American versus slick black American. Sweet science. They mo athletic and they got mo skill, and that would be a great fight for the casual Americans. The real reason that Nordic doesn't like Carl Froch is because Nordic is racist. Yeah, I'm racist against Polacks, I guess. I don't know, man. Haney's losing hook or crook. Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. Will Taylor beat Lopez? No, I don't think he will. I think he gets beaten that fight, personally. I doubt Taylor will ever win a big fight again, personally. I think he loses that fight. I do. By hook or by crook, I think he loses it. Hope he wins it, but I don't think he will. But we'll see, won't we? If Lomachenko beats Haney, I'm probably going to die from laughing uncontrollably for hours. Yeah, it will be a good laugh if he does, won't it? After everything that's been said over the years. Nordic is cooking and smoking. Yep. Yeah, Manny Pacquiao, the GOAT, Rebel Slave agrees. Can binge on that guy's fights and rewatch them for days. Yeah, I love watching Manny Pacquiao's fights. Watching them again is just brings me back, man. It really does. Haney has switched to Islam. Huge attempt to deceive his fans into thinking he's a respectful, good person. Absolutely laughable. Hey, listen, if you want people to think you're a respectful, good person, don't convert to Islam. A religion founded by a 7th century Arabian caravan robber and warlord who took our sacred gospels and perverted and twisted them to make his own cult. Don't join that. Don't join the religion of peace. Rabasi UD is what I took. Great minds think alike. Yeah, I think that's the most likely outcome. Rabasi UD. Allah Akbar. Don't shout that at the airport. We was kings and shit. Yeah, we was also inventors and shit. Did you know a black man invented peanut butter? That's why we should embrace the complete demographic change of our country, because a black guy invented peanut butter, even though he didn't really. Don't even eat peanut butter. I kind of want some peanut butter now. I don't know why. But yeah, I kind of want some peanut butter now. Mo skill. Yeah, they mo skill. They got mo athletic. They mo skill. They mo athletic. And they got better jab and a better fundamental. And everybody ducking. Everybody ducking Dan Haney. You can beat the guy, but you can't beat the politic. I'm best fight in the division. Shout out to James Schofield. Good to see you here, brother. God bless you. Big up you too. God bless. The kid Campbell Hatton just fought, just took a dive. Oh, did he? I didn't watch it. I didn't even realize Campbell Hatton was on the card. I must have forgot all about it. But yeah, Campbell Hatton, he's got a long way to go, hasn't he? He's looked awful so far. He's gonna need to improve a lot, and he got tapped in the stomach and keeled over. Yeah, just so they probably just got some journeyman to dive for him for an easy payday. Yeah, Campbell Hatton's going nowhere anytime soon. He's got to improve a lot. Yeah, brings back some nostalgia and makes me want to go back to my old amateur club. Yeah, I've been going to an amateur club over the past week or so. Been training at officially I go 3 days a week. I didn't go yesterday because I was going to a cinema to see John Wick 4, but I made up for it by going to a health club today. I did some bag work and I even did some weightlifting, which I don't normally do, but yeah, I went on the bag, did some weightlifting, and went on a treadmill for 20 minutes. I did just a light workout. Yeah, but yeah, I've been going to amateur boxing gym, and I've been enjoying it. Getting back into shape. It's been fun. My two favorites are Golovkin and Duran. Vladimir Klitschko at heavyweight. I never get bored of watching Triple G fights. I love the violent skill. Yeah, Triple G in his prime was just a boxing purist's like absolute dream, wasn't he? Really, really great to watch. Man, I keep pissing like crazy. I'll be back in a minute, guys, because I've drank so much water today. I keep pissing. Be back in a minute. All right, where was I? When Loma beat Rigo, people said Loma gets no credit because Loma beat a smaller guy. But if Haney beats the much smaller Loma, then Devin Haney is number one pound for pound. Yeah. Well, I mean, we know why that is, don't we, Hawker? It depends on where you're from and what skin color you are. Certain people, certain demographics are held to a higher standard than others. Peanut butter is great. Yeah, that's the thing. I kind of want peanut butter now. I might have some peanut butter at some point soon. I can stomp on a peanut with my jack boot and make a butter. That ain't an invention, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of lies about, like, inventions that black people made that they never really did, that had been around many, many years before they supposedly invented it. It's just one of them things that they kinda use as, propaganda for willing demographic replacements, is what it is. If Loma himself doesn't take credit for that fight because he says Rigo jumped up 2 weight classes. Yeah, remember when Loma had the crown on and his dad took it off as if to say, "You didn't prove anything. You beat a smaller guy." That's a champion right there, man. That's right. London should be Lagos 2.0 because diversity and peanut butter, yeah. And let's not forget they invented the dustpan, even though they didn't really, but still, they invented the ironing board, even though it was already in existence many years before then. But we was inventors, innit? Innit, fam? But it's like, yeah, I mean, if you look at like London, how it was, like say 40, 50 years ago, and compare it to now, I mean, it's flipping depressing, like what goes on there, isn't it? But whatever, I'm getting worked up over nothing. Everyone wanna what everyone wanna see the match for free. I will send a link once I go live, 100% no lies and scam. Join my live stream. Hmm. Well, let's just say I remain skeptical about that. I don't know who you are, but I remain skeptical. Like saying no scam, that kind of makes me think there's some kind of scam involved. But I don't know. You could be right, man. God bless you. Campbell Hatton is shite. Yeah, he is rubbish. I don't rate him at all. Scott Harrison versus Lara. I think Harrison on points, mostly because Lara wouldn't be able to hurt him. Or if he did hurt him, it would be kind of a similar situation that you get with Calzaghe, where hurting him would be the worst thing you can do because he'd come back and kick your ass. He had that kind of vibe too. By the way, it's funny as you mentioned that. Speaking of Scott Harrison, guess who my new coach is? Yeah, guess who my new coach is? Good shit, mate. Keep it up. I've been out of the gym for 3 weeks now because work dried up. Hoping to get back in the next week. Can't afford to eat beef 5 times a day without five days a week work. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. That see when you're getting back in shape, the thing that you have to do, like if you have a full-time job, you have to sort of make your work. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to make it not conflict with what you're doing. So let's say if like you go to the gym after work, if you're sitting on if you're sitting like on a computer all day and you're just not getting any exercise at all, then you try go to the gym. I'd imagine that would be a pretty crazy workout because you'd just be lethargic. Thankfully, with my job though, I do a lot of physical stuff. Like I'm constantly on my feet. Well, not I do sit about a bit, but I'm constantly walking about. When I'm actually doing my job, I'm using tools. Sometimes I'm doing like bulk uplift, so I get like a good workout. So by the time I go to the gym, I don't feel as stiff or as lazy as I otherwise would be, if I was doing a more sedentary job. So again, it just helps. Like if you can sort of plan your day out, when you're going to eat, when you're going to work out. Because like I have my lunchtime around about half 11, 12. And what I've been doing during the day is I eat, say, like two boiled eggs for my lunch. And maybe if I'm really, really like craving, I'll have like a can of juice, but I don't have too much. And then what I'll do is I'll go to the gym. I'll maybe spend like 2 hours there. And then when I go home, I'll have my dinner and I'll have something like really, really nice and like filled with protein, like a steak or something. And yeah, it's just keeping to the routine and not eating crap all day. Because when I wasn't going to the gym and I wasn't working out, I just eat crap all day. Eating crisps and chocolate and just drinking juice and shit all day, just consuming crap. And it's just getting into that routine and being able to stick to that routine for a long time. That's what's difficult, man. But yeah, so for the past couple of weeks or so, I've been doing all right. But I've been in this situation before where I've been in a situation before where I've kind of done all right for a couple of months, then gone completely off the rails. So I'm hoping I can stay like yourself. I'm hoping that I can sort of balance my work, my social life, and my time in the gym, and not get disheartened by it. But yeah, I see what you're saying. You gotta work to be able to afford it. It's not cheap going to a gym and eating good food. Will you be covering the fight live? No, no, I won't be covering it live. I'm just doing this to kind of amuse myself before it happens. just to talk to you guys, since I've not done it in quite a while. All boxing really offers are horrible mismatches now. So rare to get actual 50-50 fights. Yeah. See, that's the thing. In the past, we used to get a lot of 50-50 fights, particularly in like British domestic level boxing. Guys had come through the ranks. You'd get prospects versus prospects. You'd get like fringe contenders versus tough journeymen. You would often see upsets. You would often see great back and forth fights. And it's just, we don't seem to have a great domestic scene anymore like we used to have in British boxing. And I'm assuming it's the same for other countries too. Like, because it's all about money now and who's got the most Twitter followers and stuff. Yet still no wheel or woven cloth, yeah. But we was inventors. Scott Harrison must be a hard coach. Man, you know what? Words can't really describe it. But see, my first day, my first, like my first day working with him, for a couple of days after, I could barely move. Put it that way. Luckily, that my first day I went was a Friday, so it was right before the weekend, and man, like my legs were absolutely stiff as a board. My whole body was aching, and I could barely do anything, and I just needed to chill the whole weekend. So yeah, but I kind of I'm getting better and better each time I go, but it's very difficult because again the kind of training he does, it's all about stamina, and it's all about it's kind of like being in the Marines, if you know what I mean. It's like an army training camp. It's so disciplined, and yeah, he's a pretty hard coach, and he's not the type of person you say no to. Put it that way. Yeah, he was a great fighter. Yeah, and I think he would do well in today's featherweight division. And like the best thing about him too was his like just physical ability. He was so strong, so tough, great chin, great stamina, and he was so big for the weight too. And how he made weight too was insane. Like his diet was like really, really regimented, and like the guy used to like run up the hills of Ben Nevis and stuff. And he was a very good athlete. He was just so strong, and his boxing fundamentals were very good too. Like he had flaws, but he was a very, very fundamentally sound fighter. No wheat, no sugar, including fruit, no dairy, organic veg. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And it's giving up stuff like that's difficult because most of us in today's world, we eat things like wheat. We have sugar in nearly everything. We have dairy, and we have all sorts of stuff, that maybe isn't the best for keeping weight down and being in better physical condition. But again, moderation and discipline is what it takes. And persistence. You can't go to the gym just a couple of times and be in shape. It takes it's basically a lifestyle. It's a full commitment. You got to keep going back and back. Prospects don't really get built up the same way anymore. Yeah, they don't. Back in the day, if a prospect came out the amateurs, they would be put on small hall shows. They would fight in leisure centers or hotels or schools and places like that, and community centers, and just general um areas, venues where they'd have sporting events and small crowds, and they would build them up gradually, and they would get them like sort of the bum opponents, the journeyman opponents, the slightly more experienced guys who have mostly losses, but they're always ready on call. You bring them in at short notice, and they give your guy rounds. And if your guy kept winning, that was a sign that he was good. If he was getting better and better, you'd test them gradually, and maybe somewhere along the way they would lose, but that would be a good thing because in the past a loss didn't really mean a whole lot. You would say, okay, well you lost, but you can come back. I mean, if you look at how guys like Ricky Burns and all that came through the ranks, guys like Darren Barker, Clinton Woods, and guys like that. They lost early in their career. Clinton Woods got dominated at domestic level by David Story, but he came back and became world champion. These guys had losses at British domestic level when they took a little bit of a gamble, a bit of a risk. But back then it wasn't seen as, oh no, he's lost a fight, he's going nowhere. No, back then you lost a fight and then you come back and you'd get better from it. It wasn't something that would destroy your career. It was before the age of social media when a loss was like the worst thing ever for a fighter. Back then, in a sense, it was seen as a minor setback at worst and a learning opportunity at best. That's what a loss was for fighters. But sadly, we don't really have that same mindset from a lot of guys coming through. And it's a shame because it's a better mindset to have. It's a healthy way to look at the sport and to look at a fighter's development. How do you think a prime Joe Calzaghe would do against today's super middleweights? We were talking about this earlier, actually. I think Calzaghe would possibly dominate today's super middleweights because I can't think of anybody who had the kind of attributes that he had. Best stamina, great chin. He was a southpaw. He was the kind of fighter who had the work rate that could just completely um, negate everything else you did. Like even if you were able to land better punches, he would land so many more punches that he would get the win. And he also had just fantastic athletic ability, and he had a fighting mentality, and he was a great fighter. I think he beats any of the modern day super middleweights, and he would even beat most of the light heavyweights, in my personal opinion. What former middleweight champions would beat a 40-year-old Triple G? I think Tommy Hearns could beat a 40-year-old Triple G. I think a prime Triple G knocks him out. But and Bernard Hopkins could probably beat a 40-year-old Triple G too. But again, a prime Triple G I favor over Hopkins. But if we're talking about a 40-year-old Triple G, I definitely think there are guys that could beat him. Guys that were big, guys that were big punchers. He could lose at that age. But at his prime, he's probably one of the best middleweights ever. At his prime. Nordic is on target with diet and exercise. It's not a part-time thing. Sorry, folks. Yeah, exactly, man. And that's something that me personally, I had to learn the hard way, and I've got, I've been guilty in the past of going to the gym and thinking, oh, it's all right if I can go to the gym and then later on I can get a kebab and I'll be fine. No, you go to the gym and you go home and you have something healthy and you eat at a calorie deficit. You can't just like go to the gym a couple of times here and there and expect results. It's a lifestyle. It's your entire life, your work, your social situation, everything has to go along with it. And it has to constantly be something that's on your mind. It's something that you got to always take care with. And you've got to always avoid temptation. Diet and exercise, it's a full-time thing. Like you say, it's a lifestyle change. Just came into the stream. Do you think this Franklin guy could beat Joshua? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think that it's just like I was saying earlier. It's a tough guy. It's a guy that they've brought in to give AJ rounds and give him a workout just to get him back into the swing of things and build up his confidence and test whether or not he has any worth going forward, whether or not he should just retire because, if he can't beat this guy, obviously, then what's the point? But, I think it's just a workout for AJ. It's a stay busy fight and it's a comeback fight. And it's the perfect kind of comeback opponent for someone of his level, Why do Black Americans go to Islam when they don't read the book? Because they get brainwashed by people like the Hebrew Israelites, where they talk about Islam being the black man's religion and Christianity being the white man's religion, when, funnily enough, the founder of Islam, according to the Islamic scriptures, was a white man who owned black slaves and called them raisin heads and married a 6-year-old girl and had sex with her when she was 9 and sucked on the tongues of little boys and married married his adopted son's wife and slaughtered numerous Jews and Christians and died from poisoning. That's they don't know who Muhammad is and they don't know anything about Islam. They just join it because it gives them a sense of identity and they have no idea what they're doing or what they're getting themselves into. Just like Muhammad Ali, that clown allowed himself to be manipulated by these people when he came from a Christian background, a Christian community, and he pissed it all away for that cult. Who's the best 140-pound fighter ever? You can make an argument that it's Pacquiao because I know he only fought there once, but he blew the lineal champion away in 2 rounds. So I would say probably Manny Pacquiao. Costa Zoo does have a shout though, but because he was more established at the division, but I'd still say Pacquiao. He was the better fighter. Yeah, because they can't read Arabic. Duh. Yeah. I watched a video from Charlie Z the other day. He really got beat up this time. He had a large cut on his forehead and his right eye and cheek was swollen up. I think I saw that. Well, I saw the clip of him with a swollen up face, but I didn't see the fight or anything. But Man, Charlie Zelenoff is going to get himself killed one day. That guy is severely mentally ill. I used to watch him when I was a teenager, man. I used to find him so funny, but yeah, I don't know that it's a sad story. That guy is seriously going to get himself in trouble, man. He really is. I almost don't know what I'd tell a person like that. He's just so set in his ways, and he's so sick in the head, and it's so sad, man. 140 is a shit division. It is now. It used to be a good one. Charlie said he beat up 7 guys, though. He said one of the guys sucker punched him. He said he is now 517-0. Man, he is so delusional. Like, I used to think he was just a troll, but I realized at some point, no, the guy's severely mentally ill. And his record is 0-1. That's his real record. And the great Andrew Hartley beat him. Andrew Kid Thunder Hartley. God bless him. Let's say Joshua gets put to sleep. You think he'll just gets caught? Do you think he'll retire? I think if he did get put to sleep, he would probably have one more fight, an easy fight, just to go out on a win. It seems like he'd rather go out on a win, you know. But I don't think that'll happen. I can't see AJ losing. I think he wins it. Zoo, Hatton, or Taylor, yeah, those are the top 3. Well, not so much Hatton. Hatton had the best record on paper, but he wasn't the best fighter. Pacquiao, I'd put in his place. I'd put Zoo, Pacquiao, and Taylor. I know Hatton beat Zoo, but Zoo was completely shot, and at his prime, he would have won that, in my opinion. My virgin ears. Charlie Z is ducking Emperor Michael. Yeah, Emperor Michael called him out years ago. I remember that. And Charlie Z never responded, as far as I'm aware. But to be fair, Emperor Michael ducked me. So, yeah, I'm better than both of them. I'm kidding. What do you think about the 6-9 situation? Him getting beat up. Oh, are you on about Charlie Zelenoff getting beat up at LA Fitness? Yeah, yeah, because he went around them assaulting people, didn't he? I don't know, man. That was where his story started to get really disturbing. I just think the guy's someone just said here, he's a schizophrenic or something. Yeah, R.I.P. Ken Buchanan. Absolutely, man. Scottish boxing legend, one of the best British fighters ever. God bless him, man. Pryor #1 at super lightweight, second place ain't even close. I don't know. I disagree with that. I think Pacquiao is way better. Way better. Charlie has schizophrenia. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, he's clearly got something wrong with him. Like whether it's like borderline personality disorder or schizophrenia or something. The guy's clearly sick in the head. Clearly, he's got severe mental health issues. Crazy, isn't it, man? I saw Charlie Zelenoff take 3 clean hooks from Wilder and didn't even wobble or anything like that. But Wilder is knocking professionals out with 1 punch. Yeah, Charlie has the best chin in boxing. Yeah, Charlie Z has a better chin than Fury. Andrew Kid Thunder Hartley hits harder than Charlie Zelenoff. No, what am I saying? Andrew Kid Thunder Hartley hits harder than Deontay Wilder. I mean, he stops Zelenoff in the first round and in better fashion. A 62-year-old Roger Mayweather hits harder than Deontay Wilder. Oh man, yeah, Wilder versus Kid Thunder Hartley. Make it happen, man. Why not? That's Wilder's usual level of opposition, isn't it? Pretty much, or it was early in his career. The Emperor's calling out a lot of people at the minute. I wonder if I don't know, man. I wonder if I should call him out now because he refused to acknowledge me before. Well, no, he responded to me, but he told me I wasn't worthy of fighting him or something, or he had nothing to gain from fighting me. But I wonder if I was to call him out now that I have a channel with 10,000 subs, maybe he'd agree to fight me. I wonder. It's interesting, isn't it? I wonder. Hatton's win over Zoo reminds me of Fury's win over Klitschko. Both guys were over the hill. but both were still dominant champions and elite fighters. Yeah. Well, I don't know because Costa Zoo was very inactive going into that fight, and he wasn't in shape. Like he didn't have the stamina, and he was practically considered retired since even before the Shamba Mitchell rematch. So I don't think he was still like a dominant champion. Like he'd been stripped of two of his titles. He only had the IBF belt, if I remember rightly. And I'm not saying he wasn't still a good fighter. He was still very dangerous, and it's still a very good win. But I don't think he was anywhere near his prime. And I'd say Klitschko was probably closer to his prime than Zhu was, even though he was way older than Zhu. New York people snitch on each other, then make podcasts and sell books. Chicago cats that snitch get found in the bottom of Lake Michigan. Yeah, yeah. So it's a different world on the different parts of the coast, isn't it? Michael doesn't want to feel that Nordic warrior right hand. Yeah, definitely, definitely. He don't want that smoke. He ducking. Michael is ducking the Nordic warrior. And who can blame him? I mean, come on. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Andrew Hartley does look like some of Wilder's early opponent. He does, doesn't he? Like he legitimately does. Like you can imagine Andrew Hartley being one of Wilder's early opponents. Like someone in Wilder's like first 35 fights. Andrew Hartley's like the level of opposition the Wilder would have fought. I think if you did a vid hitting the bag and called him out for a spar, he'd possibly do it. Possibly, possibly. I might actually do that. I mean, it's don't get me wrong, it's kind of cringy calling people out. I don't know, but it's funny, and like I might actually do it. I might. I'll think about it. I'll consider it. Unrelated to boxing, but as a Scotsman, what you think about Americans claiming they're Scottish? I'm from Germany, and I find it kind of embarrassing. Yeah. Well, I guess it depends really on their heritage, doesn't it? I mean, because there are a lot of people in America, and I mean a lot of people who have Scottish ancestry. So I guess technically speaking, it's their birthright to claim that they're Scottish. They weren't born here, but they are ethnically Scottish, if you know what I mean. So I don't really have a problem with it, but I guess some people who are like more patriotic probably would. Taylor versus Zoo. I go with Zoo by knockout. I think Taylor would be winning the fight. I think he would get inside, he'd rough him up. His size and his inside fighting abilities would be a big problem for Zoo. But I think Zoo's right hand would eventually catch Taylor and would turn it around. I don't think it would be like as one sided as, say, the Zab Judah fight or the Shamba Mitchell fight, because I think Josh Taylor's a lot better than those guys. I think he's more skilled and more athletic and a lot tougher. But I think after a hard, grueling fight where Taylor has some success to the body and is able to push him back and is able to outbox him here and there, I think Costa Zoo's right hand would land flush and it would turn the fight round, and he would probably stop Taylor late. So I go with Costa Zoo by a late stoppage after a great fight, maybe even like a come from behind stoppage. Michael's calling out Sonny Edwards. That makes perfect sense. I mean, why not? Like, I would watch that. That'd be fun. I don't think Michael would ever fight you. I think he's 8 stone. Yeah. Well, if he's 8 stone, he's way too small for me. Way too small. Um, I'm kind of embarrassed, guys, but I weighed myself at the gym last week, and I was nearly 16 stone. So, yeah, I'm a big man. I'm a big ass man, and most of it's fat, sadly. But yeah, he even still, even if I was in shape, he's way too small for me. But I'd spar him anyway. But I'd have to go light. I don't think I'd go like full contact against him, because again, he's just too small. I'm too big for him. Too big, too strong. Just like Froch was for Triple G. Too big, too strong. How good was Hatton? Hatton was a great brawler. I'd say he was a great like domestic level brawler. He was a great body puncher. He was great. He was a great athlete. Like he had fantastic stamina. He was a big puncher. He was very good at getting inside, slipping under shots, and setting up body punches. But he was very, very flawed. For one, Hatton's defense was quite poor. He was susceptible to long range boxing. He had no idea how to fight a southpaw. That was one of the things that he was terrible at. He always looked terrible against southpaws. And he was a guy who just technically was very flawed. I think he could be easily outboxed by a world-class boxer from long range, you know. So, yeah, he was a very good fighter, but a very flawed fighter. And I think he was a guy who was very lucky to be around in the era he was in, because he was very carefully managed for many years. And, he kind of defended that WBU title and built up his name against mostly journeymen and mostly like washed up contenders. And when he actually did take a risk and fought like tough contenders, like the likes of Eamon McGee and Vince Phillips, you saw his limitations. Like, he was able to win those fights, but he really struggled in those fights. And he just didn't really have elite level skills, in my opinion. But he was a very good fighter. But again, he's very entertaining, but very, very flawed. But his work ethic was fantastic. Like, his stamina, his work rate was really, really good. And it made him a problem for anybody. Yeah, he certainly is. Costa Tszyu is a legend. Costa Tszyu is one of my favorite fighters to go back and watch. Like, he was a fantastic boxer, man. Fantastic fighter. And his right hand was one of the best straight right hands I've ever seen in boxing. So powerful, so accurate, like so fast. He was just so well. It was so good at setting it up with a jab, and he was very well adjusted to long range and figuring out his opponents. And eventually he would land it. Like, that was the thing. Costa Tszyu in his prime, even if you were able to outbox him, he would create an opening with his jab, and he was so accurate with the right hand. He would find a way to land it in most cases. Great. Really was a great fighter. Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor. Teo struggled with a southpaw in Martin and barely did enough to win. Do you think Teo could pull it off? Yeah, I think he will. I think he will beat Josh Taylor. Because I think Josh Taylor is... let's just say I think Josh Taylor's on his way out. And I think he's cashing out now. I hope he wins it, but I don't think he will. But we'll see, won't we? It is what it is. But I see what you say. If Taylor's healthy and in his prime, he should win it. But we'll see what happens. It is what it is. I would love to see Josh Taylor come back with a TKO over Teofimo Lopez. I would as well. I hope he does it, man. I really do. Denis Lebedev versus Grigory Drost. Who would win? That's a great fight. Like, Drost was the bigger guy and probably like the better like back foot boxer. But Lebedev was extremely tough. He was probably the bigger puncher, probably physically stronger. He was an awkward southpaw. And he was a guy who I think had a little bit more, like brought a little bit more to the table. So I'd go with Lebedev by a very close decision, but it would be a hard fight and it would be a very good fight. So yeah, I'd go with Lebedev by a very close decision. Nordic should call out Charlie Z. Do you know what? I wouldn't even bother, because Charlie Z is, like I said, he's completely mentally ill. And I wouldn't even feel right fighting that guy. I wouldn't. I'd feel like a bully. I'd feel like a cherry picker if I fought him, you know? Too much of an easy target. Only southpaw Hatton actually performed well against was Urango. Good fighter, though. Loved watching him fight. Yeah, he was very, very entertaining. And yeah, he did do well against Urango. But when he fought like a slick southpaw, he got a lot of problems. You know, if you look at his fight against Eamon McGee, and of course his fight against Manny Pacquiao, he had no idea how to deal with a southpaw stance and the angles. He just didn't. But he was a great fighter to watch. Very entertaining fighter he was. Will Fury ever fight Usyk? I think he will. Shout out to Reverse Lee, by the way. God bless you, bro. But yeah, I think he will. I think it'll probably happen in the summer or maybe in the winter this year. Because I think that they're just looking to build it up, and I think it's just hype. And there's probably already an agreement in place, and they're just trying to create some drama to build it up, you know? You should do a career breakdown on Charlie Z. Yeah, that'd be funny, innit? Like, do a proper, like, in-depth documentary about the illustrious boxing career of Charlie Zelenoff. Z Money, the greatest of all time, you know? But yeah, he's gonna get himself hurt, man. He really is. He's. I actually feel really bad for the guy. I really do. But I don't know what you would do or what you would say to somebody like that. How do you help a person like that? A person that's just so severely mentally ill. What do you do? I've absolutely no idea how to deal with him. I really haven't. I think Prograis would beat Hatton. I agree. Yeah, Prograis would do what Eamon McGee did to Hatton, except he would finish the job. He would have the fitness and the durability that Eamon McGee didn't have, and he would break Hatton down and stop him. I think that's what would happen. Be interesting to see Hatton fight a guy like Paul McCloskey or someone like that. That would be an interesting fight, or maybe Zab Judah. You know, I'd like to see Hatton fight some like world level southpaws. Yep, God bless us all. Absolutely, amen to that. Would Hatton beat Judah? Yeah, like I was saying, it'll be fun to see how he would do with these southpaws. I actually think stylistically, Judah would probably outbox Hatton, and I think he's probably the more skilled fighter. But the problem is, Zab Judah didn't have that much heart, you know, and he was susceptible to pressure. I think Hatton's body punching might actually get the better of Judah, and he might break him down. And I think Hatton would survive an early scare to maybe come back and win that fight really closely on points. But I wouldn't be surprised if he got knocked out because Judah was a big puncher, particularly with his like overhand left and his left uppercut. And those were punches that, as you saw from the Pacquiao fight, Hatton could be susceptible to. So on a good night, I think Judah could beat Hatton, but I could also see Hatton making a late surge and landing some body shots and winning on points and just with pressure and work rate. I could totally see it happening. It would take a long time to cover his 517 wins. Yeah. But it would only take a couple of minutes to cover the only fight he ever had, which was Andrew Hartley, where he lost in the first round. And the sort of the sparring session he had with Derek the Giant, the 49-year-old construction worker or whatever he was, that big fat guy that knocked him out. But yeah, the only actually legally sanctioned fight he had was against Kid Thunder Hartley, and he got stopped in the first round. He actually quit. He quit against that guy. Charlie Z versus Galmar Stonefist. Galmar Stonefist would behead Charlie Z immediately. He would pull out his big axe and he would say, "On your knees, Charlie." And Charlie would be like, "I'm the best. I'm the greatest of all time." And then Galmar would just take a big swipe at him and just cut him down immediately, you know. I thought maybe Charlie Z stopped doing that nonsense. So I searched him up, and his latest video, he was all battered up. Yeah, like I said, he's gonna get himself killed. He'll never change unless someone really does some reverse psychology on him or something. I don't know what you do with that guy, man. I just don't get it. I really don't. Subriel Matias is a very good fighter, and yeah, he's a very big puncher, and he's got a lot of talent. He also has flaws, though, as we've seen. You know, he can be a bit reckless, but very, very entertaining fighter to watch. And he's going to be a big problem at 140 for a lot of guys. That's an interesting fight. Yeah, the Collazo fight was very, very close, and I think some people actually thought that he lost it, if I remember rightly. It's an interesting fight to watch though, because yeah, it was back and forth. Like Hatton's work rate gave him problems, but like the sharp counter punching and the southpaw style of Collazo really, really troubled him. It troubled him badly, and yeah, it was an interesting fight. Wouldn't mind watching it again. And again, it's one of them situations where it showed you that against a guy like Pacquiao, a southpaw with like great skills, he was always going to be up against it, wasn't he? Hatton struggled against anyone who was physically as strong as he was. Yeah, that was one of the things he relied on too, was his physicality. If you put him in a ring against a strong guy, he was always going to have problems. Same with if you put him in the ring against a southpaw. What do you make of the Scottish laws banning criticisms of females? You mean criticisms of trannies? Yeah. Scotland's new first minister is a anti-white, racist, jihadi parasite who just hates our people and wants to see us destroyed. And yeah, people are okay with that because the majority of the people in this country are a bunch of dickless sodomites, and yeah, the people running the country are dickless sodomites. So is what it is. We've got a cooked nation and a failed state, and we've allowed a foreigner and one who literally hates our people and complains about how there's too many of us in our country. We've allowed that person to become our first minister, and yeah, he's still alive. The fact that Husma Yusuf is still alive really shows the state of it shows the state of this country. I mean, the fact that he hasn't been put on a boat and sent out into the middle of the Atlantic with a one-way ticket back to Pakistan or wherever he's from. That it would be it just goes to show you what a failed state the country has become. I'm past complaining about it at this point, is what it is. Otke versus Kessler. I go with Otke by a wide decision. He was just a better fighter by far. Wasn't as big a puncher, wasn't as big or as physically strong, but he was so much more skilled and so much more athletic. And I think he completely outworks and outlands him and wins a wide decision over 12 rounds. So yeah, wide unanimous decision for Sven Otke. Charlie isn't posting any footage of his last fight where he got his head bashed in. I figured he didn't even win 2 seconds of this one. He has no good footage to edit in it. Yeah, he usually finds something. Like if he even lands a grazing right hook, he claims that as a knockout victory usually. Right hook or roll under. That's one of my favorite moments in boxing history. Ricky Hatton, right hook, roll under, same move every time, and then and then of course came back to bite him in the ass. That was amazing. One of the most amazing, most ironic things you will ever see in boxing. Yeah, Scotland's leader's not even Scottish. No, he's a Pakistani. And he's also an anti-white, racist piece of shit. So what is he doing in this country in the first place? Why is he here? And yeah, well, we know why he's here, don't we? He's here to try and eradicate and bring about the demographic replacement of our people, which is why he's openly promoting sodomy, and he's trying to completely destroy masculinity and testosterone and make sure that the Scottish people don't breed. That's what he wants. And the fact that he's still alive and still in the country, like I said, it just shows what a failed state the country is. All of the white Christian nations have been subverted today, Nordic. Yeah, there's no white Christian nations anymore. They don't exist anymore. They've been taken over by cultural Marxists and dickless, degenerate, self-hating cooks. That's what most white people have become now. Would have you considered leaving to another country? Yeah, I've considered leaving to another country many times. I've considered moving to Iceland. I've considered moving to Norway. I've considered moving to Russia. I've considered moving it all over the place, but won't make a difference. Every country, like Hawker said, all the white countries are going the same way. So what's the point even moving at this point? Here's what it is, man. Jack Casserole versus Regis Prograis. I think Prograis probably on points. I think Catterall would probably run away and spoil Casserole. I like that. Yeah, he'd probably run away and spoil and go the distance. But I think Prograis outboxes him and wins on points. I think Prograis stylistically would actually do better than Taylor did against Catterall because Prograis a little bit quicker and he would be a little bit more effective on the inside because of his short arms. And I think he would probably win the fight more clearly on points. Why all these guys complain about the native populations of certain countries? Get out if you don't like it here. Yeah, that's always been my argument. But that's the thing, they love it here because our country is better than shitholistan or wherever he came from. Our country is better, which is why they're all sneaking in here and none of us are moving there. That's why. Because a country that has the highest population of white people has the lowest rate of crime. Go figure. If Ricky only actually held his hands up against Pacquiao, yeah, he'd have still lost. He'd have still got knocked out, but he would have he would have probably lasted a few rounds longer. You know, all of these left wing governments are anti-white and anti-Christian. Yeah, of course they are. They're satanic degenerates, and they're all ran by sodomites. That's what you'll notice. Most of the high-ranking members of government in the West are sodomites. And we wonder why the world is in such a state when you're letting sodomites make decisions on behalf of normal people, you know, instead of letting normal people make decisions on behalf of ourselves, you know. But yeah, on that note, it's 9 o'clock now. I've been going for what, 2 hours? Yeah, gonna call it a night. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the fight if you're watching it. And yeah, God bless each and every one of you. Stay vigilant. Hold on 1 second. In fact, no, 1 minute, 1 minute. Yeah, yeah. God bless you too, man. I'm just going through something. Yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree, Hawker. I agree. But yeah, see you guys later. God bless.